Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the First Issue Club, your weekly comic book show that covers what? First issues, among other things. I am committing the greatest faux pas in the world, and I am chewing gum while recording, so excuse me while I pull this out and throw it away.
It's okay.
I am
I'm
so
drinking
sorry.
Coffee.
This is what happens when you're live and you don't edit because it's too hard and you just want to keep the motion going. I am your friendly neighborhood Greg, and joining with me is Vargas.
Hello, everyone.
And we are Sans Mike D today. If you are a follower on our TikTok, you know that we are doing a different episode today because Mike D has been struck with CRUD. CRUD, if you don't know, is usually the sickness you get after you go to a convention where you are in a small space with a lot of people who have not as strict hygiene policies as you may have. And so you get to carry and take home with you the gross sickness that other people have been carrying around with them in secret. So that is
the real C2E2 means CRUD affects everyone.
Yeah.
And I know that's the wrong effect, but I had to make it fit C2E2. So
your alliteration never ceases to amaze me, my friend. And I condone you. Well done.
You condone it?
I condone you.
Yeah.
So today we're going to do something a little different. We are going to start out with some comic book news and a couple of first issues that we read, and then we are going to give a sneak preview of a show that we have on our Patreon called 007th Club. It is a show about James Bond and the Dynamite series of James Bond comic books. So far, we have covered 2 series in the Dynamite James Bond mythos, Hammerhead and Varger.
Yep.
And we're going to be covering something we'll do we'll call them side missions or whatever, where we cover not comic books, but we up in Chicago while we were there, the Field Museum had a James Bond exhibit. And so they had all of the nifty gadgets and vehicles and just some cool tidbits at the Field Museum. I wouldn't have known about it unless I was with Andy, and we had a lot of time to kill on Thursday. So we went, and it was a blast. So if that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned for the end of the episode. While we're talking about it, if you want more First Issue Club, tune into the Patreon, which is patreon.com/First Issue Club. We have a ton of videos, a ton of episodes, articles, all kinds of fun stuff up there. On the Patreon, we have multiple tiers for the budget-conscious nerd on the go or stationary. No judgment. It ranges anywhere from $3.99 to free. So pick your poison, if you will. The free tier doesn't get as much content as the $3.99 version, but we do throw a few older episodes and a few goodies to the free section every once in a little while. So we got that out of the way. We won't be covering too much C2E2 recap here because we want Mike D to be here because, Andy, I think you may agree with me, out of all 3 of us, Mike D may have had the most spectacular C2E2 adventure.
I thought his heart was going to explode with joy on the con floor.
I don't think he was like Legolas on snow. He was just like hovering above the ground, just walking. It was a real treat to see. He set out with a mission, and we can safely say he completed that mission uninterrupted.
Yes, he was on absolutely cloud 9. He was Goku flying on that cloud.
He was over 9,000 for sure. And so tune in next week, and we'll have a bunch of C2E2 stuff on the main feed and the Patreon. We have a ton of stuff planned there. We had a fantastic panel with our friends at the Oblivion Bar Pod, Aaron and Chris, and Botter over at the Short Box Podcast. Those guys are fantastic podcasters and comic book fans. We went out and got some food and drink afterwards, and it was a lot of fun to hang out with people that you've been talking with virtually, and to meet them in real life was, you never know how it's going to go. I'll say that. And so I know I had a good time with them. I hope that they had a good time with us. But we'll get into more of that next week. Let's do a little more branding. We have YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we're all over that. So if you want to follow us on the social medias, just go to any of your favorites and type in @FirstIssueClub. Luckily enough, we got it before anyone else decided to swoop up that username. So you can't miss us. It's we are accompanied by the profile picture that Mike D made, which is a cool little space astronaut enjoying her comic book.
Perfect.
Let's get into some news.
Hell yeah.
You brought this to my attention, so why don't you lead it off there, Vargas?
Yeah. So I'll say this is old news, but I think it missed a lot of people, or at least it missed me and the people in my circle. So I wanted to highlight the fact.
I'm your circle.
I mean, yeah.
And it did miss me, so please continue.
You and Mike. So for those of you who might not know, Bloodhunt started, this week, last week?
This week. Well, this week proper.
Yeah. And it is accompanied by, the Marvel's doing it a little bit different. They're doing 2 versions of each issue. One, I'll say normal, like teen rated, like Marvel would do, and a red band version that includes extra content, extra pages,
extra blood,
extra gore, extra swears. So and
is it extra swears too, or just like?
Oh, I don't know.
Blood.
I'm hoping.
God, I love it when Captain America says shit.
when he says the fuck word.
When he says a fuck.
So they're branding them as red band, like they do with like movie trailers. They put the whatever, and it's parental advisory, all that stuff.
Right.
Marvel is continuing that after Bloodhunt with a Werewolf by Night ongoing that's branded as red band.
Sure.
What I wanted to highlight was the fact that whatever red band is, it is different and distinct from Max.
Which is where I'm confused.
Yeah, and I don't know what the differences are going to be.
Because you don't need 2 imprints that are naughty.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if one is like, Max is like, do whatever you want, but in a more like alternate world situation. Because that's kind of what they end up being, right?
That's true. So it might be like alternate takes on 616.
Yeah. So like
Maxverse.
So like the thing that made me highlight it is I read Get Fury this week. I'll talk about it in a minute. It's the new Garth Ennis book, all about the Punisher and Nick Fury in Vietnam, but it's branded as Max.
Yep.
So Max is not dead. I guess they might be changing. They might be changing the name of it to Red Band, or folding that stuff in. But like, as it exists right now,
I bet they don't. I bet Red Band is like the adult versions of 616 proper books. You know what I mean? Because they wouldn't have they wouldn't have
continuity.
Yes, because they wouldn't have a Red Band Bloodhunt tie-in if it wasn't in continuity.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. It's just like Max is naughty but not in continuity, and Red Band is naughty but in continuity.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
And then Marvel Knights is just out doing its thing.
Yeah.
I think Marvel may have an issue. Too many imprints all of a sudden.
I'm kind of excited for this stuff. I think it's cool to see Marvel kind of do the Black Label thing. And if they are making that distinction where like, Max is whatever, an off continuity somehow version, and Red Band is just their mature line within, mainstream Marvel continuity, that opens a lot, I think.
Yeah.
You imagine that they could do like a Miracle Man inside of 616, or like a Century book that's more
adult,
true to life. Yeah, more adult.
Yeah. I like it because we've always talked about how when we've read Marvel books in the past where there has been like a swear word that they needed to say, and like every letter but like one is like marked out, and you're just like, say shit. I beg of you, print shit here because I'm inferring it, and the 8-year-old kid is also inferring it. Like, what the fuck are you doing? The comics code, whatever, doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't matter. They can Google the worst shit imaginable, and your little comic book is not saving them by bleeping out the S and the H and the T from shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
turning the I into an exclamation mark.
You're right. It's just like, it seems too childish. And it's just like, it's just a word. It's not telling them to go out and kill people. It's just saying shit. Yeah. Or damn it. Or fuck. Like, we've gotten past this.
Yeah. Well, and that is the nice part, right? Is you can keep your, like, Captain America books pretty squeaky clean. And then separately, you can tell those stories.
But like Captain America books are maybe the least squeaky clean books in the last 5 years.
True, that's very
true. The guy has gone through a fucking journey.
That is very true.
And it's these aren't books from the 50s anymore. It's not like he's like eating Wonder Bread and drinking warm milk before he goes to bed. Like, he's battling existential thoughts and whether or not he's actually a good mantelpiece for America. And it's just like, let him say, God damn it.
Let him say, what the fuck?
Yeah, let him say a cuss. He's earned it. He's fought for this country and died for this country.
Yeah.
To say one swear word.
He was born in the 20s. You don't think he's going to accidentally say a swear word?
Oh, wooden nickel.
Oh.
Roosevelt's ghost.
Shiver me timbers.
Shiver me timbers. That'd be badass. If Captain America's catchphrase was "Shiver me timbers," I think he might be my favorite superhero of all time.
That's my next commission: is a frustrated Captain America saying "Shiver me timbers."
Shiver me timbers. I wish that like Marvel could purchase the like monster cereal entities like Count Chocula and Boo Berry and like the Fruit Brute and make them Marvel canon.
Oh, dude.
That I think that needs to happen.
I'm so glad Mike D isn't here because I would absolutely read the Monster Cereal Squad series.
Yeah. like Werewolf by Night v Fruit Brute.
Yes.
Red band version.
Red band version. That's right.
I am excited though for more maybe not like full on gore, but a little more sauce in my Marvel comics when they fight. So I mean, I like the idea of Red Brand and Max and all that because it forces. I mean, it's the same thing I have with like stand-up comedians. Like writing a set with no cuss words is a lot harder than just being the guy that goes up there and tells jokes and says "fuck, bitch, ass, cunt." Like that's easy to do, but like like. The easiest example is like Jim Gaffigan. Like his stuff is a little more nuanced. So I like the idea of like Marvel not like opening the gates completely of just like, well, we can't just like have, Howard the Duck just unleashing explicit content in every issue.
Yeah.
So like I like that they had to like work within a parameter and like really build the story. But it is fun to have like those cheeky little Red Band and Max things of just like, okay, you nerds asked for it. Here's some cussing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it opens a lot for art. Like, not that it needs, like you said, excessive gore or anything, but, you imagine scenes like when Sentry, like, ripped Carnage in half in space. Mm-hmm. That scene could have been, like, I don't know, maybe a lot more impactful with...
Or when King in Black ripped Sentry in half.
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff, right? Could have been, I don't know, just different, I guess.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's confusing. I wish they would have explained it maybe a little clearer, but it just takes what we just did right now of 5 minutes talking it out and examining it, and then like, oh, okay, well, this must be what they're doing, and we're just gonna go with it.
Well, if there's gonna be somebody who's gonna be covering that first issue, you're listening to the
who
right
could
folks.
It be?
Who could it be? You got any other news? That was my only thing that I wanted.
I know that Vault is leaning really heavily into their new Pete Wentz comic book that's coming out called Dying Inside.
Oh, okay.
And so it's kind of I I wouldn't say trend, but it is a new kind of like, Post Malone's getting a comic book. Keanu Reeves has been working with Matt Kent to get a comic book. And it's just kind of, a new era into comic books where, I don't know Pete Wentz. I don't know how much he is enjoying comic books, or he just saw an avenue to like tell a story that he couldn't tell in a song. But it is interesting to see kind of a new resurgence or a new investment into comics from an outside source. And people are, 50-50 on it. It's just like people are just like, hey, you got, Post Malone on my comics. Hey, you got comics on my Post Malone, a real Reese's Peanut Butter Cup situation. And so it's just like, I guess it depends if you like the artist or not. Because like Gore's been doing it, and all these heavy metal bands have been doing it for a long time, and no one said shit because I don't think anyone knew that it was happening, really. But now that you have like a huge name like Post Malone and like a pretty big name like Pete Wentz, like you get a little more attention to the book, which I guess is what they want. I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about it.
Yeah, what is I'll say frustrating. I don't know what the right word is. What gets my goat, I guess, is like, I think about Mother of Monsters was written by Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones. And that was like, oh, here's the book, here's the story. Incidentally, it's written by Emilia Clarke. And it seems like all of these kind of new books are like, oh, that's the Post Malone comic. What's it about? I don't know. It's
Post Malone's doing it. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like even Moon Man, I read that first issue and not, it was good. It was interesting. But like, I went into that knowing nothing about it other than Kid Cudi was writing it.
And it's the Kid Cudi book, which is almost like kind of the Achilles heel of it all. Yeah. You almost wonder if like, if they had gone under like a pseudonym, if it would have been like a little different.
Yeah. Or
like if it would have been like Most Balone doing a comic book, would anyone have cared?
Or pull the Void Rivals and like, oh, here's this book, and then the last page is like, oh shit, the creative team is Post Malone.
Yeah.
That would be interesting if you just didn't announce it, because then at least you're getting hype for the book for what it is.
Yeah.
It feels really cash grabby, I think.
I think it helps in the sense for like Post Malone anyway, where he is a huge nerd. Like he's really into magic.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like he's a huge just dorko.
Yeah.
And he can write a song, so one would think you can kind of understand the structure of a story, maybe like kind of parlay that into comic books. My interest is there. Yeah. Definitely for the first issue, because it's a little bit like my job to check these out. I don't know. It's just it's a trend that's happening right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and right, and we haven't, I guess, even spoken of like the quality of these, and we can't until they come out. I wish the emphasis was on the story as opposed to like the famous person writing it.
Yeah. Well, that's what they lead with. It's just like huge name, and then what's the book about? What the fuck do you care? It's Post Malone. It's like, I would like to know what the book is about, please.
I would like to know. Yeah, exactly.
Because while Matt Kent and Keanu Reeves is cool working together, Berserker was fine.
Yeah.
Like it's just like you read it, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Well, I mean, it was like, oh, this is definitely a Keanu Reeves movie.
Yes. You're wondering like, where's the hook here? Where's the other shoe? Or when's the movie trailer? When's the anime coming out? What do you want me to do here?
Yeah.
Boom Studios.
Exactly. Yeah, but you don't, I don't know. You don't even get that with like the Post Malone comic book, because you can't be like, oh, this story's a lot like that Post Malone album.
Which you don't want.
Right.
So I think it's a new original story. I don't think it's like based on any of his like music. So that could be cool.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
right.
Again, we will read these books. and let you know if they're good.
Yeah.
My gripe here specifically is just with the way they're advertised.
Yeah, just like lead with the name first. The story is incidental.
Yeah. Definitely the way to do it. Although I mean that happens with mainstream comics too, I guess, to like give them fair credit. You know, sometimes a James Tynion book will come out and you're like, what's that about? Oh, I don't know. I bought it because Tynion's writing it.
Yeah, but Tynion's a like vetted workhorse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just reading more about this Post Malone thing. I guess it's like a original graphic novel from Vault.
Oh, okay. So it's going to cost me $25?
Yeah. For Vault Comics as the introduction to a new universe he is creating with producers Michael Bay and Brad Fuller. Platinum Dunes joining in to develop a feature film based on the story. Fuck. There we go. Never mind. Story follows a mysterious armored 18-wheeler apparently sent back from the heavens to medieval Europe to battle a horde of demons infesting the continent.
I mean...
I would watch that.
I mean, they got me. Like...
Yeah, like, fuck. Damn it. I don't... Okay. God, see, this is like two edges of the sword here. One, I hate that they're already just like, it's going to be a movie. You're like, fuck, of course.
And it's going to be Michael Bay movie.
Like, yeah, boo. That one sentence, I was like, fuck. That's like if they combined like Evil Dead and Fast and the Furious.
Yep. Sold.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're in. Can't wait to provide a pull quote.
The pull quote. It's written by Post Malone, First Issue Club.
This book fucks and slaps. Hide it from your mom. First Issue Club.
Excellent.
Yeah. We'll that's all. We'll move on from news. I think that's all I'm capable of handling today.
Okay, cool.
And we're gonna get right into the comics, which we can now finally announce. Sponsored by Boulevard Brewing Company. Yum yum, give me some. Space Camper, a taste that'll send your taste buds to the moon.
Put it in my face.
We are very grateful to be pairing up and partnering with Boulevard Brewing Company again to celebrate and to spread the good word about Space Camper and all the delicious beers within that line. We partnered with them 5 years ago when they first launched the series and had a great time. It is a phenomenal beer, and every iteration that comes out, like every 4 or 5 months, new little character in their Space Camper universe shows up, is just a delight on your tongue and your tummy. So enjoy Space Camper, enjoy it responsibly, and send your taste buds to the moon with Boulevard Brewing Company. Space Camper.
Excellent ad read, Greg.
Thank you. Soon they'll have a character that is a dog, and I am just so ready for it. He's the goodest boy in the universe, and I can't wait to drink his beer. I'm so excited for it.
We were sitting at that table, and they told us that there's going to be a dog, and I think all three of us went, "Oh,
yeah, dog!" Like, we were such base humans where we were like, that could be like motor oil in that can, but if you got a cute dog on that cover or that can, sign us up. So anyway, we're excited that Boulevard Brewing Company is along for the journey with First Issue Club, and comics sponsored. Comics coverage sponsored by them.
Thanks, Boulevard. We love you.
We love you, and we're in love with you. I read, let me see if I can get back here. I read The Whisper Queen, a Black Sand Tale by Chip Zdarsky, Chris Anka, and Matt Wilson. This is a continued story. I think the first one was White Oak or something like that. Uh-huh. It is set in the same universe, set different characters this time, and it is amazing. It's simply the best.
Okay, good.
And it's like a D&D story brought to life. I know that's kind of a cliched thing to say, but I mean it from my heart of hearts that this book will quench any comic book reader's taste, no matter what it is. There is violence, there is love, there is a sex pit, and there is parental advice. Where else but this book can you say that I'm going to get a hodgepodge and a quilt made of delicious yarn other than the Whisper Queen?
My question perennially. So I bought this book as well.
Yep.
I've not read it yet.
Sure.
But the only thing that gave me pause was that it's a continuation of a book I didn't read.
It's not a continuation. It's set within the world of Black Sand.
Fourth
realm.
So I'm not going to be like totally lost. No. Okay.
Mm-mm. Nope. It would benefit you to read the other book because it's a fantastic book about 3 yoked up daddies with their shirts off going around the realm, and now you got 3 muscle mommies doing the same thing.
Stop digging! You struck oil.
So, I mean, this book is fantastic. I mean, Chip Zdarsky, we met him at C2E2 this year, last week. He is so proficient in so many genres. You kind of call in the question of whether or not he is a witch and whether or not we need to investigate that further. I swear to God, if they use that as a pull quote, I will die happy and end this show immediately because my quest has ended. It's a fantastic book. It really is for any reader. It is sex positive. It is like a journey in not only a realm of war and disruption, but also a journey through like discovering who you are and what it means to like the relationship between parent and child, and like how do you teach someone something without being like kind of oppressive and like letting them figure it out on their own. It's just like like they did the same thing in the other book, and it's just like so beautifully done. It's not like heavy-handed at all. I can say more good things, but we only have an hour. So The Whisper Queen, A Black Sand Tale, go check it out. It's out on Image Comics.
And I think I saw on the shelf at my LCS, did they reprint White was it White Willow?
White Oak.
Did they reprint that?
So they reprinted it in a collected edition.
Okay.
So like
I think I saw it on the shelf next to Whisper Queen.
Yep. I think it was 4 issues. Don't quote me on that. And they just collected them all into one small little collected edition.
Oh, okay, cool. So I should go back and pick that up then.
Yeah, totally. It's cool.
Awesome. And that's all you read?
That's all I read. It was a long day at work, so I really didn't get much chance to. I wanted to get into Bloodhunt, but that'll have to wait for the weekend.
Yeah.
And I guess we should mention Free Comic Book Day is this weekend, folks.
Yeah, dude.
So we're gonna have some really cool things to talk about next. Next week's gonna be filled to the gills with content.
I'll say this for all of you out there: if you haven't read Bloodhunt yet, pause, because the reading order goes Free Comic Book Day issue, Moon Knight 5, then Bloodhunt 1.
I hate that. No one's going to know that until they listen to this show, which everyone who likes comic books listens to this show. But God damn it. Make the intro to the series Bloodhunt number 1. How fucking hard is that?
I know. The reading order's in the back of Bloodhunt 1. But that is the reading order.
Fucking Chris Claremont was right. These events have ruined comics.
New First Issue Club shirt. Chris
Claremont was right. I will make that tomorrow and put it on those in the shop.
Well, since you talked about it, I'll talk about Bloodhunt.
What a tee up.
I read the.
You think they'll use that as a pull quote? Chris Claremont was right. First Issue Club.
First Issue Club. Put it on every one of his books from now on. So I read the non-Red Band issue because my LCS was sold out of the Red
scared
one.
Again.
Well, it was
sold out? The Red Band one?
Of the Red Band one, yeah. I really wanted...
It's not like a ratio, is it? Weird.
It's, in fact, in CLZ, it's listed as its own series, the Red Band and the regular. And it has its own variants.
Wait a minute. Something to think
about there.
Yeah, it sounds like double dipping.
No, that definitely are.
Yeah.
I might do it on like a little Patreon or something. But I plan on getting the red band and doing a comparison, between the two issues. Anyway, I read the regular one. I think we talked about it on a previous episode, but the elevator pitch is that all users of the Dark Force in Marvel, they pull all their power from the Dark Force dimension and they turn into like Dark Force bombs. So this energy from that dimension is blotting out the sun, which enables vampires to come out and kill everybody all the time, always. And that's like the kickoff. That's basically what this first issue is. There is a big spoiler right at the end, and I'm not going to reveal it because it's pretty large, pretty in charge. And the first, book in the series is not out yet. Doesn't come out till Saturday. So,
can I ask a question? You don't have to spoil it. Just tell me yes or no.
Yeah.
Is it a death or a reveal?
It's kind of both. There's a couple of at least seeming deaths. But the thing right at the end is a big reveal.
Okay. I'm hyped.
It's cool. It's very cool. It's Jed McKay writing and Pepe Larraz doing the art, so it slaps. This is going to be a fun one. It's just a big fun Marvel summer event. That is kind of right up my alley. Horror themed.
Vampires.
Vampires. Yeah, you get the gist. So. Bloodhunt, very good. I'll do a comparison between the regular and the red band when I get the red band. I also read Get Fury, the new Garth Ennis, Jason Burrows book.
Whenever you keep saying that, and immediately I'm just like, does he mean Get Short? Like
no,
the movie. Like, did he cover a movie?
No, Get Fury.
Cool.
It is. So in classic Garth Ennis fashion, he's taken the Punisher back to Vietnam again. This is kind of unique, at least I think. Fury has been kidnapped by the Viet Cong, and since he's such like a high value asset, since he knows so much about the U.S. government and the war effort, the CIA has told Frank Castle to go out in the jungle and kill him. So they're like, we think maybe you can get him back alive, but we don't want to take that chance. You need to go and kill Fury. So
okay.
And Frank Castle in this is like a straight up psycho.
I mean, is this before his family was killed?
Yeah, this is before.
Yeah. So is he even the Punisher?
No, he's just
Frank Castle.
Just Frank Castle,
unhinged lunatic
out in Vietnam shooting people, and he has a lot of words to call them. I'll say that.
Oh, great!
This is a Max book.
Jesus.
So there's a lot of language, and then a lot of gore at the end. But it's if you can get past that stuff, I think in classic Garth Ennis fashion, it is very much a biting critique of the U.S. military system and the things that we choose to see as valorous and highlight as heroic sometimes aren't that when you actually stop and think about it.
Right.
And all of that stuff is wrapped up in a cool story about the Punisher having to go and assassinate Nick Fury.
Right.
So that's that. Get Fury. My highlight of the week is the Scale Trade, which is
it came out this week.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Was
it everything you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, man. It's super cool.
All right.
It's a Steve Orlando book, and I know at least in our Discord, there's not Steve Orlando slander. I won't say that.
No.
But I think just folks haven't found a book that resonates with them yet. But I think this might be the one. So it takes place in a world where dragons are real and they are endangered. And there's a government department dedicated to protecting them. And our main character is a new recruit. Think Department of Truth. He's like a new recruit to this, organization. And then it's basically like Training Day with them
With
busting
dragons.
them busting up illegal dragon trading.
Yeah, I'm into that. That's dope.
So it's very cool to see, like, not only do you have these like mystical mythical whatever elements, but you get like a fun cop story too, where like the new guy's kind of unhinged and the old guy is like, oh man, we gotta kind of play it by the books because that's just how the system works. So
the system is broken.
Yeah, exactly. There's all that stuff in there, and again, a bunch of critiques of like real world stuff like this. How we treat whatever real animals and all that kind of yada yada stuff. So, Scale Trade again out on Magma. Magma is fucking killing it with these first offerings, man. Every book I've read has been total slappers. So
have they done 2 or 3 so far?
3. They did Principles of Necromancy, Silicon Bandits, and now Scale Trade. So
okay, yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad they're coming out swinging.
Yep. I also read Dick Tracy #1.
From Mad Cave.
From Mad Cave. I have never read a Dick Tracy story before, but this is like, if you can picture a straight up detective story, it is this.
Like the Maltese Falcon in a comic book.
Yeah, I mean, legit. There's a murder, and Dick Tracy has to investigate, and there's a femme fatale that he has to protect, and she's, a feisty firecracker.
Oh God! Please tell me that word isn't. Yeah, all right.
All that stuff is in here. It leans
Golly
heavily.
gee.
It leans heavily into what it is.
Okay, who's writing it?
Segura and Mike Morecki.
Okay.
Is doing the art. It's a well-made book. It looks great. It reads very fun. It is very light.
So that's what we were worried about when we first heard about it. We were like, are they going to go dark and gritty on this?
They did not go Sin City.
Okay, that's actually kind of reassuring.
Yeah,
to hear. I didn't need like Dick Tracy breaking up like a heroin ring, and like finding his wife there. I didn't need all that.
It actually toes the line pretty well, where it's a murder. There are guns. There is blood. They don't shy away from that, but it's not like.
But there's also a guy called Pruneface, so I mean, like,
yeah, he hunts down the gangster that's mumbles, and literally he speaks in nonsense. So it's kind of quirky and goofy, but it is just a detective story. So
fuck yeah, okay,
cool. If that rings your bell. Second to last here, I read Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives.
Oh yeah,
Dan Waters and Ram V.
Two
authors? Yeah, 2 authors.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that yet, but I get the impression that they might try and do like a Venom thing, where one half of the story is we follow this female detective. I read a lot of detective stories this week.
Yeah.
And she's like investigating this guy who either tried to kill like her sister or her. I read it really quick, but he's like a serial killer and she's trying to track him down. And then we kind of get the perspective of the creature towards the end of the book. So like Ram V might be writing things from like the creature's point of view, and Dad Waters might be writing from the female detective's point of view. I'm not sure. But
so do you know much about the creature from the Black Lagoon?
He lives in the Black Lagoon. I know where he lives.
Awesome. We got his address. Was he a human at one point and then transformed, or he's just like a beast that has always been?
Yeah, he's just always been. I
don't know if it's like a werewolf situation.
No, it's a Shape of Water situation.
Oh, sexy. So now we're going to get some sweet, sweet love action.
Yeah. It's a cool book. These Universal Monsters books. This one is different from Dracula because it's not like an adaptation. It is, I think, its own unique story. I haven't seen all the Black Lagoon movies. They made like 3 or 4. But I think this is its own, independent story. Okay. Just following that character.
Was the creature made by Universal to make movies, or was there like a prolific novel that I'm just
no? I don't think there was like a creature from the Black Lagoon novel or
Mary Shelley didn't do a.
God, I would pay to read that.
I would, yeah. Yep. Same.
No, it's its own deal from Universal. So
okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to double check.
Yep. So it was cool. Again, kind of a detective story. Pretty interesting. It is the same quality as Dracula was, so it is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one I read was Spectrograph.
Oh, the new distillery.
The new distillery from Tunyon and Christian Ward. And it is a wild ride. It's about a real estate agent who's trying to sell a house, but the house is like the house from 13 Ghosts.
Cool.
Where the house, I think where they're going is it like makes ghosts or contacts.
Hell yeah, Ghost Factory
world. Yeah, Ghost Factory, exactly. The woman, the real estate agent, and this other weird woman get stuck in the house, and they gotta get out of the house and also figure out what's going on. And it's like the house is like a maze, but it's also like its own big machine, so there's keys and codes and shifting hallways and all that kind of.
And a realtor is trying to sell this home.
Yep, that's exactly right.
It's in a good neighborhood. No, the schools are fantastic.
The schools are great. The ghosts will help mow the lawn.
It's got good bones. It's got really good bones.
That's a good one, Greg.
Thank you.
So I read a ton of books this week, but
yeah, it sounds like they're all fantastic.
They really were. I did not read a single bad book.
Hell yeah. I thought, oh boy, he's still reading. The night is young, folks.
That's right.
Okay, cool. And so typically this is where the show would end. But since Mike D is chugging NyQuil and having fever dreams, we have decided to add a special little bonus section to give you a preview of what our Patreon content is. I want to preface this. Not all of our Patreon content is James Bond themed.
If only.
But we have certain shows that are themed to cover certain aspects of comic books. We do a James Bond one. I do one with our buddy Doug about the Muppets. And then there's just other random ones as well. So we are now entering the 007th Club Zone.
Perfect.
Welcome. This is our red band. Now we just curse way more, which is like way too much.
So many swears, so much gore.
Yeah,
I just cut my finger.
We are drinking. You can't see it unless you're watching the YouTube, but we have a gallon jug of martini mix, and we're just hammering that to the dome.
And olives.
Nothing but olives. So many olives. I'm gonna puke. I'm just gonna be sick on olives.
Okay, so what was this thing? So it is a special exhibit called 007 Science, Inventing the World of James Bond.
Yes.
And it's at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. And when I got this targeted ad, I was extremely excited.
Mm-hmm. That's why it was targeted to you.
That's why it was targeted to me. So what was this thing? It was a highlight of all of the, science and industry stuff inside of the world of James Bond. So, of course, there was a lot of focus on the gadgets, his, the golden gun and the shoes with the daggers in it and his watches and all that kind of stuff. But the cool stuff to me was the focus on like the stunts and the cars, all of that stuff. So
it was curated like kind of brilliantly because they could have just overstuffed this with crap. Just any stupid James Bond thing they could have but it was really curated to like flow you through the exhibit in kind of a really organic way. Like you saw a bunch of the vehicles, you saw I learned that the jet ski was invented because of James Bond movies. I wouldn't have known that had I gone to this exhibit. And the original jet ski was there. We learned that like the bulletproof vest wasn't really quote unquote invented yet. It was like in its like real infancy, and like through the James Bond movie franchise, like there was a resurgence in like developing that technology because the James Bond character used that same technology, and they're just like, well, what if we use this in real life? And that's what spurred the continued research into that technology.
Yeah. The whole like life imitates art and art imitates life. That was very cool. The water bike is always a very cool factoid, and to see it like in real life was super neat.
Yeah, it was rad. I took a ton of pictures, so if you want to see some of this exhibit, go to our free section of the Patreon and you'll see like all the pictures I took, and it was really, really, really fun.
Yeah. Some of the highlights for me, at least, and we can vamp about these. They had the actual Aston Martin DBS that they crashed for Casino Royale.
Where he was having like a heart attack, right?
Yeah, he gets poisoned and he's trying to go rescue Vesper, and they crash this car, and it's one of the most amazing crash scenes ever filmed. It actually won a Guinness World Record for like
most flips,
most crash of all the crashes.
Biggest crash of car crashes. Congratulations. And all practical, like no CG, all done like on site.
Yeah, and again, they had the car sitting in there. Which, it's totally wrecked and destroyed, but it's so cool to me reading how that 5-second like, oh, that was a cool scene. It takes like
weeks, 6 months of planning.
Yeah, weeks and hundreds of bodies and all this. I mean,
I would love to see the Carfax on that car just to see what they reported.
Yeah, I don't think the resale.
It's all like redacted. It's like MI6 got a hold of it. They're just like, nope.
Nice try. The DB5 from Goldfinger was also there. If the fact thing, whatever the plaque said, if you close your eyes and think of a James Bond car, the DB5 is probably the car you're thinking of. It's obviously from Goldfinger, but it's the car that Daniel Craig drove in No Time to Die. It's shown up in 3 or 4 other Bond movies. Right. But to see all the little push buttons inside, the ejector seat, the oil slick, the rotating license plates, that was like a real treat for me.
I mean, you could literally reach out and touch these vehicles. Like they were just like, yeah, go try it, see what happens. But like, they're there. You could smell them. Yeah,
they were right there in front of your face. The stunt exhibit about the corkscrew car flip.
Oh, right.
From Man with the Golden Gun was totally cool. So there was a stunt in the movie where Bond flips a car, not end over end like a front flip, but side over side, going over a river.
Yeah, like a corkscrew.
Like a corkscrew. And the exhibit talked about how it was like the first stunt that was extensively computer modeled.
Oh, wow.
And they let you do like a little, well, what if you go this speed and the ramp is this angle, and you can test it out.
I did love the interactive part of this exhibit where there's just like, all right, Brainiac, if you think it's so easy, how fast do you have to go? And what's the angle of the ramp? And you find out pretty quick how fucking dumb you are and how much work goes into these things. But I love that they involved you. Yeah, no, but they like involved you in every aspect of just like, they had one of just like, if you were a spy and we needed you to plant something on someone, what would you do? And they gave you like a list of items and what to put in it, and you would find out if like you were successful in like your mission or whatever. And it's kind of cool just to like reprogram your mind for 15 minutes of just like, okay,
yeah,
I am a spy. Think like a spy.
yeah. And that was another highlight too, I thought, was they had a big another section of the exhibit that was talking with real spies that are like out there in the world still today. And they asked them like, what was your James Bond moment? Is your real job anything like a Bond film? And in reading those stories, and getting those people to relate, their real high stakes job to like a piece of pop culture that we idiots can relate to is very cool.
Yeah.
They had a story about a woman who had to like swap a briefcase with a guy while she was being surveilled, and they did the like, oh, bump, and we both drop our briefcases and swap them. So like, that's awesome. A real thing that happens.
It's funny that like something that cliched can be used and be effective.
Yeah.
Like the old switcheroo is like universal, and it's a staple in any spy organization, fictional or not.
Yeah.
You can't beat the switcheroo.
Because it works, right?
Because it works.
It's the simplest thing. And then the big highlight for me was the golden gun from Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah.
Which, if anybody out there hasn't seen the movie, it's the gun that Scaramanga, the bad guy in the movie, uses, but it's built from a cigarette case, a lighter, a cufflink, and a pen. And he like screws them all together to make this gun that he can kill anybody with a single bullet. And it was so fucking dope to see that thing in real life.
And like, I'm honestly surprised that you didn't buy the replica from the gift shop.
Dude, it was like $180 or something.
Yeah, well, collectively, we all spent about $180 at the con. So, I mean,
yeah,
give or take.
Give or take. Well, and getting it home would be kind of an issue.
You would probably have to mail it to yourself.
Yes, I probably would.
Like, sir, step aside. What is this? And you're like, it's a golden gun.
Obviously.
I'll go to whatever brig you need to take me to. I'm not leaving without my golden gun.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a total blast for me. But my eternal question on this show that we host, Greg, is, as a relative James Bond new guy, what did you get out of it? Was it like a cool thing, or was I, looking through my rose-colored glasses at this exhibit?
It was a lot of fun seeing the history of this franchise just kind of laid out throughout the decades, and how much people love and revere James Bond, whether it be in books or movies or comic books. It's weird to say that James Bond is like the everyman, but it is very much of like, he is a figure of good, like a good versus evil kind of thing, of just like, and it's not really like a gray area. It's just like, this guy has a nuclear bomb that could blow up Switzerland. And it's just like, oh, well, we have to stop that. Like, we can't let that happen. And so that it's very easy to rally behind James Bond, because he's never like, in the little experience I've had with him and what we are exploring through this show, is like, he's never in the gray. It's very much like, this is for the good of England and also the good of the world. Like, this has to happen.
Yeah.
And so it's very cool to see the different personalities who have taken on Bond and taken on that role, and what they've brought to the character that is unique to them, but also kind of in reverence to the person that has done it before them. Like, it's very much like a totem pole of character building throughout the years. Like, everyone wants to leave their mark on the character, and for the most part, everyone does a fantastic job. But there is that thing of just like winking and nodding to the person that's done it before you, of just like, I wouldn't be here had you not done a phenomenal job at this. So like, thank you, and like I'll take it from here kind of thing.
Yeah. Those franchise characters always have that. You have to be different enough from the previous guy so that people don't think you're copying him. But you have to be close enough so that people know what you're doing.
You know what you are. Yeah. I got worried for a second because we entered the event, the space where the first part was, and it was kind of short, and I thought that was it. And I was like, ooh, we paid a lot of money for not a lot. And then there was like these doors at the end, just like to continue your journey, go to like Gallery 2 or something. And I was like, oh, thank God, because I was going to be pissed if this was it.
Yeah.
And then it took us like across the museum, essentially, to like another part of the exhibit for James Bond. And it was incredible what they had displayed there. And I was surprised they got so many vehicles in that area. Yeah. There's like 6 of them.
Yeah.
Not kidding. 6 fucking James Bond vehicles in this exhibit.
Yeah. I mean, there were what?
One was a tank.
Yeah. So like 5 cars.
5 cars, 3 boats, a fucking jet ski.
Yeah.
A tank, a guitar case.
And they had the Ski-Doo out front.
Yep. Like a snow bike.
Yeah.
They had all kinds of shit. The original jetpack that he rode in on. There was a ton of stuff. A ton. I took pictures of all of it. Like I said, go to the Patreon free section. Check out the pictures. It's fucking dope. I'm sure Andy could write up an article for the website. He is probably so jazzed about it. So fear not.
Yeah.
We have tons of content.
It was very cool. If you're in the Chicago area, and you're a Bond fan like I am, you got to go do it.
Bond fanatic.
That's right. You got to.
No, I thought it was great. I had no idea that it was there, and then you were like, "Oh, like this Bond thing's happening in the museum," and like it was kind of crazy how we were all like, "Yeah, let's go check it out," and it was incredible. It was whether you're a huge James Bond fan or not, you will have a good fucking time at this exhibit.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, because I didn't want to be the guy that was like, I have to go do this. You guys can go do whatever you want.
I think the joy in it was that you were getting such a kick out of it. You know what I mean? Like that, because we fulfilled something. Because that was the same day we did that, and then we went to Kuma.
Yeah.
Which was like a heavy metal burger place that we've talked about on a previous Patreon episode. And that place was fucking incredible. And the food was amazing.
Yeah.
So it was like an all-around kick-ass day with a lot of fun things I wouldn't have tried had you not been there.
Yeah, it felt like an Andy day. And I still feel a little bit guilty about it, but I'm glad everybody had fun.
No, I mean, you did get us lost for 20 minutes, but...
Well, you know, who amongst us, right?
Who amongst us hasn't selected the wrong Walgreens on the map and made us walk all over Chinatown?
You go north when you're trying to go south, you know?
Yeah. I will say one thing, we won't get too much into it, but I think everything we ate in Chicago was the best thing I've ever tasted.
We ate a lot of good food.
I don't think there was one thing where I was just like, that was not that great. Everything slapped.
The food at the con.
I don't think I ate the con. I had a pretzel. I had a soft pretzel. But you can't really fuck that up. And if you fuck up a soft pretzel, you don't deserve to serve food ever again.
Yeah, get out of here.
It's like messing up a grilled cheese. Like, what are you doing?
Grill the cheese.
It's one of the building blocks of life. Like, God made this on the 3rd day. It was lights, earth, and then grilled cheeses.
Grilled cheese sandwiches.
As far as the eye can see, the original 10 Commandments were on grilled cheeses.
Oh, man. Good stuff.
Well, we're coming up on an hour. So we hope you had some fun. We've got to cover some news, some comic books, and got you a little preview of what our Patreon's all about. Yeah, you're welcome, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. We don't typically do this. This is like if your parents were really tired and they just ordered you Pizza Hut for dinner because they didn't want to fucking cook. This is what's happening here. You got Pizza Hut for dinner.
Well,
it's not going to happen a lot, mister.
Next week, we'll have Mike D, and we'll show off all our C2E2 treasures. We'll talk about the con, who we met, who we liked.
Yep. Who we kissed.
We'll talk about,
We'll
talk about Bill Clinton's impeachment. There's a story about that. It's going
to get real political. We actually have some tales from the shop a little bit.
Oh, we've got a lot of tales.
We got lots of tales from the shop. So be prepared for that. Thanks for joining us. It was a great time. Thank you again to Boulevard Brewing Company for sponsoring the show and being a wonderful partner for us. And Andy, I don't know if you know this, but they recently this week went to 3 or 4 local comic book shops in the Kansas City area and dropped off care packages to local comic book shops in preparation for Free Comic Book Day to kind of just like celebrate along with them. So
that's awesome.
Not only do we appreciate them because they're giving our show a shot in a sponsorship deal, but they're really doubling down and investing in not only local Kansas City businesses, but local comic book shops, which is something that we are severely invested in. So it's just an amazing organization, amazing beer. So we're so happy to be partnered up with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Boulevard. We love you.
We love you, and we're in love with you. Join us next week when Mike D is here. We talk more about C2E2. Like I said before, we're on all the social medias. We're on YouTube. You'll hear it in the outro, but I just like saying it again. So without further ado, Vargas, lead him out.
Bye.